Today's Edison format deck profile, my YCS Welle Dad deck. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are breaking down the Welle Dad deck that I brought to YCS Philly. Now, I know I didn't do too well, but even my opponent did admit to me that he drew every single out that you could possibly imagine. So much so that in the first game, I still wasn't sure what deck he was playing, because all he really brought out was a Gravekeeper's Spy and a Thought Ruler Archfiend. So it was a little crazy. Now, I wouldn't say I necessarily bricked, because I did open pretty well. You know, I got in some pretty good plays, but hey, sometimes if your opponent has all of the outs to your deck, you just can't win sometimes. And unfortunately, that's what happened to me. And I also learned that side events are one and done. It's a single elimination, so gonna have to remember that when I go down to the next. I think it's the World Championship qualifier in Raleigh. So gonna have to keep that in the back of my head. But of course, before we dive into this, be sure to smash that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you always are alerted about future deck profiles and openings. Alright guys, and starting off the deck, we got the hero boy himself, which I actually picked up while I was down there. Our elemental hero Stratos, our nice searcher for that Mally boy in our deck. But yeah, our nice new Alti Stratos, which I gotta say looks amazing. So we are playing one copy of Stratos, followed by two copies of Destiny Hero Malicious. Now he was a very good extender during my plays, able to really turbo out Stardust a little bit quicker, or really any other 8 if you're if you don't really need Stardust at the time. But hey, really depends what you need. But for me, it was Stardust that I needed. Malicious helped me get to that a little bit quicker. So we got 2 copies of Malicious in here, followed by 1 copy of Plague Spreader Zombie, kicking off the tuners, followed by 2 copies of the star of the show, Krebons. So we actually have Power Well and Emergency Teleport to help turbo him out a little bit quicker as well. Or even Armageddon Knight or Dark Greffer to dump him a little bit quicker into the graveyard so we can utilize Power Well a little bit quicker. So Krebon's definitely the MVP of the deck. Following up, we got our 2 copies of Armageddon Knight. Again, as I said, you can dump your Krebons in there, or if you need another Dark, you can dump it a little bit quicker so you can get Dad out, or you can even dump Mally out so you can get the other Mally out a little bit quicker. So Armageddon Knight is very versatile in the Welle Dad deck, or really any deck, if we're being completely honest. Following up, we got 2 copies of Dark Greffer. Pretty much like the big step bro to Armageddon Knight. Only difference is you have to discard a level 5 or higher Dark Monster from your hand and you can special summon him. So, pretty good, pretty good. Definitely not bad. So 2 copies of Dark Greffer, followed by our 1 copy of the boy, Sangan. Very good, very good. Helps you search out anything that's 1,500 or less attack. So, get Armageddon Knight, you could get Krebons a little bit quicker, you could even get the next guy that I'm about to show, which is Mystic Tomato, because he is only 1,400. So, helps you float into a few other things into the deck. So, 2 copies of Mystic Tomato, followed by our 1 copy of the boy himself, Dark Arm Dragon. You know we gotta have him in here because it is Welle Dad, so we gotta have Dad. So 1 copy of Dark Arm Dragon, followed by 1 copy of Caius, the Shadow Monarch. Obviously, it's an Edison deck, so we gotta have the best Monarch in here. Not only that, Caius just works so well when you got things that are special summoning monsters out from the deck, from the graveyard, from the hand, anywhere, from your opponent's side of the field. So Caius is always one of the MVPs of Edison format. Now going into our zombie lineup, we have one copy of Zombie Master, followed by one copy of Mizuki, followed by two copies of Goblin Zombie. Wow, that dual terminal definitely popping on here as well. Very nice, very nice. So two copies of him. Now, going into our spells, we got two copies of Telekinetic Powerwell. Help bring out Krebons from the graveyard, especially if you've dumped them in there from Armageddonite or Dark Grepher or even Foolish Burial. So, two Powerwells in there. Followed by an emergency teleport, so we can get him out of the deck as well. You know, you got options, which is always a nice thing to have when you're in the middle of a heated duel. So, E-Tele, one copy. Followed by one copy of Reinforcement of the Army. So you can search out Stratos, Armageddonite, any one of our warrior monsters that we need from the deck into the hand. A little bit quicker. So, Rhoda, always a staple. Followed by one copy of Foolish Burial. Another copy of Allure of Darkness. Because everything is pretty much a dark in this deck. So, gives you a little versatility there and you got to dig into the deck a little bit more. So one copy of Allure of Darkness. Followed by one copy of Book of Life. Since we do have a pretty solid zombie lineup in here. Followed by one copy of Mystical Space Typhoon. And then Heavy Storm. Mind Control, and of course, Brain Control as well too, to round out the spells in the deck. Now moving on to the traps, we have one copy of Solemn Judgment, because it is always good to just say no when your opponent is getting ahead. Or even if they're getting started, you can really shut them down that way. So one copy of Solemn Judgment, one copy of Trap Dust Shoot, because hand knowledge is the best knowledge that you can have in Yu-Gi-Oh! So one copy of Trap Dust Shoot. That's what can win you games. One copy of Dimensional Prison, so we can banish off some of those pesky monsters our opponent might have, like a Stardust Dragon. So one copy of D-Prison, a copy of Torrential Tribute, two copies of Phoenix Wing Wind Blast. Very good at disrupting your opponent. Not only that, you get a discard, so if you do have a Malicious in the hand, it's a solid way to get rid of him if you don't have Dark Grepher yet. So, Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, we playing at 2. Followed by one copy of Return from the Different Dimension. It was actually a pretty clutch card because my Stardust unfortunately got banished, but hey, I was able to bring him back and get a little play going. Get him and Malicious back and bring a Krebons out from my graveyard. So, pretty power play there. Followed up with a Call of the Haunted, and ending the 40-card deck with a copy of Mirror Force. Now moving on to the extra deck, we have our one copy of Colossal Fighter, one of the best 8s in the game, followed by our copy of Stardust Dragon, our copy of Brionac, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, copy of Yugioh Guardian, our copy of Mistworm, our Thought Ruler Archfiend, our Dark End Dragon, who is a super, super good card in Edison format. Definitely sucks during the actual time of Edison, he was a prize card, so not many people could utilize him the way that we do now today. One copy of Black Rose Dragon, one copy of Red Dragon Archfiend, a copy of Magical Android, copy of Catastor, a copy of Armory Arm, and then a copy of Revive King Hades, and a copy of Doom Kaiser Dragon, and of course, to round out the extra deck, one copy of Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. Now, moving on into the side deck that I was playing for the event. Now, of course, you can always switch it up any way you want, but I don't know, personally for me, this is how I felt going into the event. I thought this might be, a little bit better with the a little more versatile, I guess you could say. So of course I got my one copy of Cyber Dragon for the Chimera Tech Fortress, because you never know, you might run into some pesky machines out there. So one copy of Cyber Dragon, followed by two copies of Doom Caliber Knight. Very solid to side in, being able to negate the effects of your opponent's monsters. So two copies of him, followed by two copies of DD Warrior Lady, definitely a very well-utilized card in this format. Just like D Prison, able to banish off your opponent's monsters, so they're kind of screwed. Unless, you know, they also have a return from a different dimension or a DDR. So 2 copies of DD Warrior Lady, followed by a copy of Gorz. Then, of course, we have our copy of Book of Moon. It's a good card, but I don't know, I just felt a little more, I felt like having it on the side was a little bit better than the actual main deck itself. Then going into some traps that we have in here, we got 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole. We have 2 copies of Light Imprisoning Mirror, a copy of Dust Tornado, a copy of Skill Drain, and 2 copies of Pulling the Rug. So there you have it, guys. That is the deck that I ran at the YCS in Philly. Now, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are going to say there's different ways I could have done it. Maybe, you know, add in a few different things. Maybe main a few different things. Swap it with some stuff that's in the side. But that's the deck that I felt the most comfortable with going into it. And, you know, I did have a lot of fun. It's always fun to play with members in the community in a format that we all love. But, of course, be sure, comment down below what you guys think, what you would do differently. If my build was good, if you thought it was, you know, decent. I feel like it's pretty generic as far as Welle Dad goes. But of course, be sure to smash that subscribe button if you want to see future content as well. And of course, check out those links down below. Check out rpkgaming.com. Check out the Etsy store for cool phone cases and shirts and a playmat. And of course, be sure to use that TCG player link as well if you're going to be buying some Edison format cards or any cards. We'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye, mwah, and good night.